Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel and to this week's video. Today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't take too long to take action on your claims. And that's basically because there's something called prescription, guys. And the effect of prescription is basically that if within a certain amount of time, a creditor does not take the necessary steps to enforce his or her claims, those claims will become prescribed, or sometimes also referred to as time barred. Basically, they'll be extinguished by operation of law. Now, we'll share a few basic ideas when it comes to the issue of prescription in this video. And what we'll also do is in the description to this video below, we'll put a link to a copy of the relevant act, which is the Prescription Act. And so in your own time, you can have a look at the act and hopefully get a better understanding of how this issue of prescription works. Now, the first thing we want to know when it comes to prescription, guys, is how much time do we have to take steps to enforce our claim? Now, the normal position, and for most claims, we have 3 years within which to take steps to enforce our claims before they will become prescribed. Now, it's important to recognize that not all claims are subject to a 3-year period. For some claims, that period is longer, and for some claims, that period is shorter. To give you an example of a claim where the prescription period is longer than the usual 3 years is a judgment debt. A judgment debt prescribes only after 30 years. And to give you an idea of a claim with a shorter prescription period, in the shipping context, where we have cargo claims that are subject to the Hague-Visby rules, they have a 1-year time bar period. So the first idea to take out of this video is to understand the nature of your claim so as to understand whether it is subject to the usual 3-year time bar period or whether it might be subject to a longer prescription period or indeed a shorter prescription period. Now that we understand how much time we have, the next important thing to understand is when do we start counting? Now, guys, we start counting the prescription period from the date when the debt becomes due. Now, to give you an idea or an example, the easiest example I can give you of when a debt or claim becomes due is where I am contractually obliged to deliver or to perform or to make payment by a certain date. Let's say by the 1st of January 2021, that will be the due date of performance. So if by the 1st of January 2021, I do not perform as I am contractually allowed or obliged to do, then I'm in breach of contract, and then I may have opened myself up to a contractual claim against me, and that claim will prescribe, or the prescription period in relation to that claim will start running from the due date, which was 1 January 2021. Now, the next thing to understand, once we know how much time we have and when we start counting, is that in certain circumstances, the law delays the completion of prescription by another year. Now, it's a bit too tricky for me to explain this in detail in a short video like this, but it's important to recognize that in some cases, and these include things like where the debtor or the creditor is a minor, or where the debtor is out of the Republic, or where there's a deceased estate and an executor has not been appointed yet. In some circumstances like that, there might be a situation where the completion of prescription, so if it was 3 years, is delayed by another year. And that's important to realize. And then finally, once we understand all of that, it's also, of course, obviously important to know how do you go about to completely interrupt prescription or the running of prescription. Now that you can do in 2 ways. An acknowledgement of debt is one way where prescription is interrupted, so that you now need to start counting for prescription purposes. You need to start counting from the date of the acknowledgement of debt. And then obviously the second example is where through judicial process prescription is interrupted. And if you have a claim that you intend to recover on, this is where you want to be, because this entails taking the necessary legal steps to enforce your claim and then to serve the relevant process on the debtor, and thereby interrupting prescription in that way. Now, guys, those are some of the basic ideas when it comes to the issue of prescription. Now, obviously, if you are a debtor, you wouldn't mind the claims against you becoming prescribed, but if you are a creditor, it certainly can make a big difference in relation to whether you can still recover on that claim, or whether your claim has now become time-barred, and for that reason you cannot. And certainly, if you are a practicing attorney, the last thing you want is for your client's claim to become prescribed whilst on your watch. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found some value in that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here next week. And until then, take care and cheers for now.